All right, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Sean, and this is my cohort Brian, and together we're stronger than a T-Rex giving a suplex. We are PlanetGenX. All right, happy to see everybody. What is up? Oh man, how you doing, my man? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Not much to report, really. Same old shit.
Same old shit. All right. Well, cool. Yeah, actually, I don't have anything all that great to report either. It's been a busy-ish week, but just as normal, same old stuff. But things are going well on the Twitter front. I'm very happy about that. I had a little boost a couple nights ago. Yeah, I'm over 200 already. I'm really feeling happy about it, considering I've only been doing this 3 months with Twitter.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, so when I hit 100, I was like, okay, so what's my next goal? Should it be 200 or should it be 500? And I said 500 at first. And 200 is already come and gone, so 500 is obviously where it's at now. So we'll see. But yeah, I've been having a good time out there in Twitter land.
Cool.
It seems to be more fun.
Yeah, you'll probably hit lulls here and there with the algo, but just keep doing it, man.
Yep. Right on. Yeah, I guess that's about it, really, as far as stuff I can think of going on around here. Oh, no, I do think of something else. I was messing around with my guitar the other day. Yay! Finally messing with the guitar. And I may have mentioned this, I don't know, because it did happen last week. I was down tuning
anything about messing with your guitar.
Oh, really? Okay, well, shit. I was not giving the news. No. So I was down tuning it because I wanted to mess around with some Static X songs, man. I've been really digging on some Static X lately. And I was just down.
One of those that does a down tune.
Oh, yeah. It's in C. The early stuff's in C standard, and then right after their Shadow Zone record, they went to drop B, which is just basically C standard dropping the top string. So a half step. And so I was just down tuning away, and all of a sudden my E string said, boing!
Right.
I'm like, son of a bitch. Now I have a set. Now I went to Diodario's. I really like the Diodario strings. I went to them a couple years ago. I do have some Ernie Ball Slinky strings that I could have thrown on it, but I'm like, no, dude. I really like these Diodarios a lot better. So I went to Sweetwater, which I normally do. I could have gone, to Guitar Gallery or whatever, Guitar Center. I forget what they're called. I could have gone down there locally, but I'm like, screw it. I like Sweetwater, but I do feel guilty about getting free shipping for just a pair of guitar strings. So I got a fret wrap, which wasn't much more, but I've been wanting one, and I found one that was gray camo. I was like, hell yeah, that'll go with the guitar really well. And it does. It looks great. But then all of a sudden, so I'm sitting around, and I didn't see the email for the tracking, and a few days passed, and I sent him a thing saying, hey, can you help me out? I didn't get an email with the tracking. When I did get the tracking number, it had come to my local post office, then shot off to Georgia for just no reason. Yeah. And I'm looking at what they expect. Now, this is one of those weird-ass things where it starts out with UPS, and then they deliver it to the mail service, the United States Postal Service. So, yeah, who knows what's going on there. So it starts bouncing around, and I have no idea. It's like 2-3 days after the date they say, but then they say, this is mail essentials, and there is no guaranteed day. It's like the really cheap freebie mail. So I call them back. I'm like, look, man, this thing ain't here yet still. This was on Thursday. It had been 8 days since I ordered it. And, at least 7 days. It had been a full week. And they said, well, we'll throw another one in the mail for you. Well, I got it yesterday, so there's probably another one on the way. Oh well, but so I slapped the new strings on, man. So I've set up my guitar before, but never what I would thought, a good professional setup. I've just kind of done the best I could, and I know a lot more now than when I did the last setup on the guitar. So I took this thing down, man, and I just went to town with it. I've oiled the fretboard and cleaned her up real good, every nook and cranny, restrung her back up, And man, and I reset the height of the strings. I wanted them real low, but you can't have them buzzing and shit. You can a little bit, but so lowered that and got it set exactly where I want it. And I never really messed with the intonation before because I never grasped that until yesterday. I finally grasped it, man. And I had that bitch humming. She was in perfect tune. 12th fret, everything was great, and I'm so happy. I did truss rod adjustment on it. I did the works. When you go to get a setup, this is what you would do to it, and it was pretty much flawless. I'm sure I didn't have the tool to actually measure string height, so that's probably not exactly where it should be.
You used your ear for that, though, right?
Yeah, and you can I've used quarters before. To kind of guesstimate, but I think I even wanted it lower than that. So yeah, I wish I had the little gauge. I need to get one.
As far as I'm concerned with string height, it's just this fret do I hear a buzz, this fret do I hear a buzz.
Yeah, yeah, that's true, man. That's how I did it last time. I was like, man, this thing's kind of buzzing. But if you can't hear it in the amp when you're playing, man, there's a little buzz when don't worry about that shit. Don't sweat it. Yeah. If it's to a lowness of your liking, I like mine as low as I can possibly get them, and still be playable. I don't have to have them super slinky feeling. That's great if they are. I prefer that. But if they're a little tight, as long as they're low, minimal effort. Even
tight and low, it's easier on the fingers, right?
Yeah, well, I just love that buttery smooth playing, and that can be in the guitar too. It's not just a great guitar that's set up right. Oh my god, it's amazing. I've picked up guitars before and not even hardly. I just touched the neck, the strings, felt the strings for a second. I knew right then and there. Like there was a Nita Strauss guitar I saw locally about a year or two ago. When they first came out with her signature model, and that's literally what I did with it. I was like, holy shit, mine doesn't feel it. Man, mine's a decent feeling guitar, but oh man, it's just, I have never actually owned an Ibanez, and I really wanted this guitar. It just felt so good.
Jay's got some really nice guitars that he doesn't spend nearly enough time with.
Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, he needs to get on that. But yeah, who am I to say anything? This is the first time I've picked mine up in a long, long time, so I'm hoping to get some fun out of it. I already played around a little Static X last night, just screwing around a little bit. So I think good times are going to be ahead here.
Cool. Hopefully. Well, a lot of us, we're introduced to Ernie Ball, and that's pretty much, what you get everywhere, right? It's kind of the standard.
Well, that's what Metallica was using back in the day. So yeah, that's what I used.
Yeah.
Green Dunlops picks.
It's always had this same tone, same sounds. You can get thicker, thinner, whatever, different kinds, but it's got a similar timbre to me. And I found this old trick of, people would de-string their guitars, boil the strings, and reuse them.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Once they got all gridded up and everything. And I swear to God, I did that with some Ernie's on an acoustic that I've got, and that was just like perfect.
Yeah, I've heard of people doing that before. Once I felt, how I have that thing like on my controller about the texture rubbing across my fingertips. Mm-hmm. Once I felt the texture of a Diodario string compared to the Ernie Balls, it was no question that it's just way smoother feel. Ernie's just feel a little rougher to me, and it does make the sound different. Like doing pick slides or something like that. Like I think they sound a little better on Ernie's. Just a little bit, just because they're a little rougher, but that's all about the sound you're going for and whatever you like. So it doesn't matter. To each their own. And there's so many different strings out there. Like I always hear these people talking about string theory, I think is the name of them.
I've heard of it, but never used them.
They get a lot of love. Every forum I've been in, they get a lot of good love. So I may try them one day. I don't know. We'll see.
I think the guy up on 280, that music place, the guy that does all of the service on the guitars, he's a big string theory fan.
Oh, right on. You don't know his name, huh? First name?
I want to say Bill, but I'm pretty sure that's not it. It could be Bruce. I'm pretty sure it starts with a B.
Okay. Anyway, we have talked about ourselves for a long minute here, so why don't we just get on right on into the news?
All the news that there is.
Yes. Yeah, there isn't a lot. In fact, I don't really have a particular show in mind either, so it doesn't matter that I waxed poetic there for a minute about guitars. What we do have in the news, though, is the second teaser trailer for Star Trek Strange New Worlds came out a few days ago.
Yeah.
And it looked fantastic, buddy. I'm getting really stoked for that.
It has nothing to do with looks or anything. I've always had a huge crush on Carol Kane. She is the queen of the female comedian, in my opinion.
Yeah.
She came into that world when it was all male dominated, and she wasn't like, Roseanne or any of these other female comedians that, had to have their gimmick or whatever. She dealt with it. She did her own thing, and she's damn good at it, man. She is just always, as far as I can recall, always been at the top of her game.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see her in there.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know. Like, I'm all about the single episode stories, serialized stories. That it really just, it takes it back to having more like the original Star Trek feel that we're used to. Of course, TNG started kind of with arcs, but it was usually just season-ending finales, two-parters. We did have the unification two-parter, so I mean it happens, but it wasn't like you had to pay attention to the whole damn season. That was important.
Yeah.
And I think people would want more of that these days because we have such a short attention spans. Keeping up with these long arcs can really get tiring. It's supposed to be a relaxing medium, television, and it can get quite stressful.
It's also different than kind of what it started out as, in my opinion, was something along those lines where you have these episodic series and whatnot, and it's meant to be like, single episodes or whatever. And, the super fans, if you watch enough of it, you'll pick up on something, like a certain relationship, how two people operate together, things like that. Like super fan service as opposed to, just the presentation. And I kind of feel like that is, got more and more developed into these long storylines.
No doubt about that. That's one of the Mandalorian sufferings, which we'll talk about later today when we do that recap. Right. It's great for fans, but not necessarily for the casual viewer. But I don't want to say too much more than that. This
big fan of Pike. His
man.
Return.
I love Anson Mount. Yeah, this is great. I really enjoyed the first season a lot, and I expect great things from this one. I love seeing the Klingons looking normal, like Klingons you expect to look. Yeah. I really hated the Discovery Klingons, man. They just looked horrible.
You weren't alone. A lot of people had that sentiment.
I think they knew it too. They really pulled back. Like, we thought the second season was going to be having to, more involved, or at least I did when it started, because they did start out at the beginning with the Klingons for like that first episode, and just the people we knew. You saw them for a minute, and I think they got killed or whatever, right? Can't even remember.
I think so.
But it was, I don't know. They just looked too almost Neanderthal-like Klingon or something. It just didn't work. I did like, it did work for me a little better when they had hair. The whole shaved head thing was, because first of all, you didn't even believe their heads were shaved. It didn't look like somebody with a shaved head. It looks like they never had hair at all. And that was like a huge turnoff to me. But anyway, so Strange New Worlds is supposed to drop on June 15th. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to a break and doing some of these recap videos just so we can come up for air a little bit. So we'll be right back at it with that. And who knows what else we don't know might be going on at that same time.
Is it just me?
What's that?
Or did you get a feeling that one of those shots that they did was a clear call to an alien shot? Ripley and the alien with Ripley and the alien in her face and the mouth coming at her.
What were we talking about?
Strange New Worlds.
Oh.
The trailer. There was one shot kind of 3/4 of the way in, towards the end, whatever.
Probably so. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. Go back and look at it and you'll instantly know what I'm talking about when you see it.
Yeah. But and I hope it's at least 10 episodes. Picard ended up being 10 episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll be 10. I would love to see them go up to a higher number than that. But I don't guess we'll ever see that.
Well, I mean, you can look at Mando. I don't think that they could squeeze in more episodes because of what's put into an episode, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not an easy thing to make these shows anymore. I mean, you're basically making a movie an episode.
Right.
Making it the quality of a movie. Makes the crew. There used to be kind of a distinct difference. Nowadays, there's not so much difference. Might as well be a movie crew, really.
Right.
You just look at the difference between the Next Generation on television, the Next Generation in the movies. Of course, a lot of that too is you have to have a lot of light. Even though Next Generation was filmed, transmitters and stuff back in the day, you couldn't get too dark. They would just cut out. They'd think the signal was lost. So you had to have a certain amount of light. So when you notice, like with Star Trek movies, the Enterprise was always lit real moodily. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
You just couldn't get away with that on TV. And nowadays they do it. Nowadays they don't give a shit because it's not the same. You don't have to worry about transmitters and stuff going out like that. That's kind of old school stuff.
Well, when they first started messing with that in the movies, I did feel like the color levels were a little off. They were playing with it, but doing the best they could with the equipment they had and the know-how and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But the yellows were dirty, things like that.
The First Contact movie sticks out in my mind. It was very dark.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Very dark movie. That's what I've been thinking about the whole time. Just thinking about Picard in his ready room, and it's just like real low light, and you can just barely see the ships he's about to destroy out of a fit of anger. I really enjoyed. I enjoy Star Trek, and I really enjoyed Picard season ender a lot.
I did too. We'll talk about that more.
Absolutely. I just wanted to say that. So yeah, June 15th. Look out for it. It's coming for you. So I got an invite to Diablo 4.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I'm not even sure. It's for that server slam test they're having. I forget when the date is. I want to say it's in May. I think they said May, early May.
Well, my account that I use for Immortal and all that is semi-retired at this point, so I may have been invited too, but it's not an email I check anymore.
Well, I mean, I know we all put in for the beta at the time, so I would imagine you at least got this too, because we're the poor saps that just didn't get in on anything else, and they just they know they can earn a sale probably if they throw us a bone. They'd be stupid not to. So I mean, why this server stress test? Yeah, you want as many people as possible on it, no doubt. So they won't have me on it more than likely. There's so many things I want to look at. I tried to look at Kerbal 2 the other day, Kerbal Space Program. My damn computer just loading it up, and it just BSOD'd on me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was loading, and just finally just crapped out. Crap, man. I really want to check it out.
I picked up kind of a sleeper, in my opinion, game on Amazon Prime. They've got a free game called Terraformers, and it's kind of like a world builder on Mars, right? And
I've seen it, I think.
Yeah, it's got some civ elements and whatnot to it. It's got a nice steady pace. The music in it's pretty soothing.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about because I looked at it.
It's a nice change of pace from zombie games and shooters and all this other stuff I've been playing.
Yeah, it sounds like a different form of that one game I was playing, Planet Crafter, where you kind of just building you're on this planet and you can explore it for minerals and stuff. Graphics aren't, great. It was kind of enjoyable, but one of those things. And it was in like alpha or whatever.
Yeah.
Build it as you go game. Let's see. Well, another little TV tidbit. This is just some last minute news I saw, and nothing spectacular right home about it. I just thought it was interesting. Is a Gen Xer, which is what we are, and what we kind of base our whole show around. Arnold Schwarzenegger is finally coming to TV after all his life. He's never been on a TV show. That's incredible to think about. He's coming to Netflix. Is going to have a show that's called Fubar, and it's supposed to be like a True Lies inspired show. And I love the movie True Lies. That was one of my favorite movies he did. That was with James Cameron. Who he had a big.
Didn't we also have a burn-in of that for Uptech?
It does seem that way, yes. I almost want to say
I recall it getting ruined in the same way.
Oh, no, I was going to say we saw it, but we didn't. That was me and Brandon, I think, that saw that. And
I did go to a theater to see it, and I saw it with other people, but I don't think it was you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was me and Brandon that went date night. Brandon is a girl, in case anybody.
Does it really matter?
No, not in this day and age, I guess not. Just trying to provide a picture. Me, I'm always trying to paint the exact picture. So there's really not, there was a piece on it I could read about it, but it's nothing. I just wanted to bring it up. If you want to check it out, it would be kind of neat to see what Schwarzenegger's up to. Fubar, fucked up beyond all recognition.
Funny, because I was thinking snafu earlier when we were talking about scenes in OBS.
Situation normal. Yeah, it's
I'll like that.
I love words like that. We used to have, like, in our drum line, we used to have this thing, we do some kind of cadence or something, and we do one where everybody would play the same thing, only just off a little bit, like start a little bit, like kind of like a row your boat type thing. Right. But we call it AFU, all fucked up. So I just scream out AFU, and then everybody would know, just start doing it at certain times. It actually, at certain times, would sound really cool, and other times sound like a shitty mess.
Right, yeah. Well, that's because it was young drummers, right? So some of them had their timing.
That's right, man. Well, yeah, and usually it was your bass drummers because they were the most inexperienced. They would fuck everything up. Yeah, not a lot in the news, but the biggest news this week for me, Starship test flight. Finally happened on 420, like we said it would. Yep. And, a lot of people probably look at it as a failure. I'm sure SpaceX, I know they see it as a success with what they got. When I sat there and watched it not leave the launch pad for, quite a few seconds, I think they said it was like 4 or 5 seconds. I was like, damn, is that thing going to move? And when just the fact that it cleared, think about it, this is the heaviest and biggest rocket ever. And it blew out so much of the damn ground below it. That's what ended up killing 4 or 5 of the engines right off the bat. It made a huge crater below. So, and they knew that was possibly going to be a mistake as well by not having a flame diverter in there. Elon tweeted about that in 2020, that was probably a big mistake. So they'll have to fix that. But anyway, it blew shrapnel everywhere. Like, if you saw like a far away shot and saw how far away the beach was and all the stuff flying into the ocean, it's makes you appreciate why they evacuate everybody from the area. Because anybody there would have been just absolutely pummeled with shrapnel and killed. There was a lot of cameras and stuff that got destroyed that they had set up near the launch pad. The tank farm there, a lot of those are usually set up horizontal to avoid stuff like that. Well, these are sitting vertical, and there's a few dents, quite big dents. They'll have to address that. But this is all information that's good information. That rocket got off the ground and didn't knock out the launch tower, which would have been way worse for him if it had.
Right.
So it was, Wasn't everything they wanted, but they knew that anything they got was good information.
Yeah, and nobody inside to die. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, who cares if we blow up rockets, test them? We want to get it right. That's the point. There's people that, his naysayers would just laugh at him for a rocket that blows up. It was expected. It's a test rocket. That's why it's called a test flight. They didn't expect to catch the rocket. They weren't going to do any of the things they expect to do with it down the road when they work all the bugs out. So live and learn. They know what they need to do, and they test early and often, and that's what's great. Because we're used to a NASA that tests not often and
late
not
and
early.
rare.
Yeah.
After the fact and hardly at all.
That's right. Right. But yeah, so I was real glad that went down. Happy days, happy days. I think it'll be quite a while too before they manage to get everything ready to go. They can build the ships, no problem. That's not the issue.
Yeah.
Fixing stuff like that. But that launch pad's going to take some heal. The thing I see the problem too is they're right there on the coast. You got that just sand. You imagine all the water that's up under there. They don't have very much to work with.
Yeah.
So that seemed like the reason he didn't go with the flame diverter. He's testing this is because he's thinking about being on Mars and not having access, being able to fly the rockets back off. So it's good that he's trying it to see, and now you'll know what to expect, and they'll have to deal with it and come up with ways to get around that kind of thing. So all of it's for a purpose. That's why they call it Stage 0. It's part of the system.
I don't know, man. I'm just of the opinion that it's one of those things you can't really innovate your way out of. There has to be a progression before you can really get there. But
that's innovation.
No, that's invention. Innovation is pretty much just taking what's available and using it in a different manner.
But they can do that now. That's what I'm saying. They're going to innovate it into where it works. There'll be invention along the way. There's probably not much they can do in the way of rocketry. There's different kinds of rockets, but
there's been a ton.
Whole thing. Their whole motto, I think, at SpaceX is innovation. Or the whole X companies in general is innovation, innovation, innovation.
Right.
Innovation breeds invention, Brian. It can.
I disagree personally.
I disagree. And that's pretty much about it on the SpaceX front. I don't think there were any launches other than that I saw.
Cool. Got anything else on the news docket?
Not a news that I need to talk about. You?
I can't think of anything, man.
All right, so I got a little thing here. Since we're a Gen X, we are PlanetGenX. The best thing about being Gen X. There's just a few, actually. I'll just read them off. Just read off a little something here. The last generation. We are the last generation to know these things I'm going to list off here. We are the last generation to know cell phones. To know a world without cell phones. Let me put it that way.
Well, no, I think you were right the first way, because we don't have cell phones now. We have smartphones, like mini computers.
Oh, true, yeah.
We had cell phones, which was hello,
yeah, no doubt. But we also knew a world without cell phones too.
Yeah,
and that's one of the most important things. We actually had to be at home to catch a phone call, unless you had a beeper.
Some of the older ones actually remember party lines. They were kind of gone before my time, but
yeah, that was really popular in the 50s and 60s. Well, any time up until about the 80s, really. Nobody really.
Yeah, I was going to say they were still going in the 70s.
Definitely in the 70s, especially in the big cities too. They probably lasted a whole lot longer than they were for us in the smaller towns. But yeah, it was It was a lot different world without that stuff. So we also. Gen X knew a world without internet. That was a big difference.
Yep.
Huge difference. We actually had to go grab a dictionary if we wanted to look a word up.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is my life improved by leaps and bounds once I discovered bulletin board systems.
Yeah.
Because a huge part of my life was isolation, as is the case with a lot of us, right? You know, we're latchkey kids.
Yep.
And so to find these people that may not live in my state or even country that I can talk about things with and get a different point of view and a different aspect than like, shut up, you dumb kid. It was interesting. And that's not necessarily the way it is anymore, right?
Yeah. I enjoyed when the BBSs came out too. I didn't really so much talk to anybody out there. It was just access to knowledge, information, computer stuff, because I was heavily into computers, so it just opened my world up to software.
Yeah, I remember like hackers were kind of like, this was before hackers became mainstream, right?
Oh yeah.
So they were out there, but you know, I didn't have access to all the information. But if I would have gotten in a lot of trouble if I did, because I was out there, you know, trying to figure out hops and what portals I could go through and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, unless you went and got like the Alt 2600 magazine or something like that. I mean, it was a well-kept kind of. You had to know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody to get involved in that, and I just never knew the person.
Yeah, same.
Never was. I would have loved to have gotten into that, but probably better that I didn't.
Right.
Like you say. Let's see. So we also knew a world without cable TV, streaming, all that stuff. There's kids now that know only nothing of the world but streaming. They haven't even had cable or satellite. We had none of it at one time. Just the over-the-air rabbit ears, 4 channels.
Well, a lot of them also got there was that really sweet spot before everybody went crazy with ads online, right?
Yeah.
Because when we were watching TV, it was like watch a 15-minute segment or a 10-minute segment.
They had the laws in place that you couldn't do so long of a commercial, and then they changed it like in the mid-'80s, and that's when the infomercial became a thing, man.
I was actually talking about like YouTube and stuff like that before they changed to just like open the floodgate on ads, right?
Yeah.
There was a sweet spot there, you know, when we were watching TV, you'd watch a little block, then there'd be a commercial segment, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, you know, in the earlier days of YouTube, you could watch an hour-long, 2-hour-long thing, whatever it may be, and maybe watch less than 2 minutes of ads, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they didn't force it on you as bad as they do nowadays. They're bread and butter, though.
It's easy money for everybody, man. That's the problem with it. That's why it's so prevalent and ubiquitous.
Those little quarter cents add up. All those little clicks and stuff, they add up quick by the billions.
Yep.
Can you imagine like just getting like a percentage of a cent? A billion clicks or something like that for a lot of money.
That's how our millions are going to start, brah.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, subscribe now, subscribe now, subscribe now. Hit the like button, damn it, go. Yeah, that's what I'm at on Twitter, man. I can't do my subscriber button yet until I get 500 people.
Right.
I'm trying to convince them to do it to 200, but for people that pay for Twitter Blue, I think that should be one of the perks. But by the time that probably gets changed, I'll probably have 500. Matter. And I won't care about the calls anymore. Move past it.
Be looking down your nose at the
That's
others.
right. That's why it's what kind of way I felt when I first got 21, you know. It's like now that I can drink and do whatever, I don't give a shit that it
right.
They can put it to whatever now. I don't care. And they essentially did it with smoking. They did finally move that up to 21. It was 19 all the years. Actually, in our younger days, it was 18, and then got moved to 19, and now 21. But
and some places are looking at just getting rid of it altogether.
Yeah. Well, they don't take the vapes away anytime soon. It won't bother me, but I got to have my douche whistle for now. Things like my little passion.
Yeah, I think I'm going to end up getting another one of those. Because really and truthfully, that was it. easiest time I ever had quitting smoking, man.
Yeah. You need to quit, bro.
I know.
You gotta do it.
And if you got the same problem as me, man, get on some vape. I know there's probably stuff that's not good about it.
Yeah, we're not deluding ourselves, people.
But you can go through and you can start with your regular dosage of nicotine that you get, and you can work it down to where it's just a physical response. And then when you're ready to give it up, you give it up.
Yep. I barely inhale this thing. Like when y'all see me hitting it, it's really just to get a little flavor. It's a habit. Really, this is my fidget spinner, y'all. Like this thing right here, I'm just constantly sitting here in my hand while he's talking or whatever, and I'm not hitting it. I'll just be sitting there spinning this thing like crazy. My hand goes 90 to nothing, while my brain goes 90 to nothing.
Yeah,
it's like a fucking Slayer concert in there. Mosh pits and metal and rah! Anyway. Yeah, so let's see. I said cable TV already.
Right.
The world without remote control TV.
Oh God, yes.
The world without recording equipment like VCRs. Like y'all are so used to DVRs and shit. Like we had, like before we even had VCRs, we had to just watch it and wait, and maybe they might show it again if we were lucky enough to see it again.
Yeah,
I didn't get my first VCR till about 89. No, I'm sorry, 89.
To back up a little bit, we also did have the experience of watching TV with the family.
Right, and we were the remote controls, right?
Exactly.
Little Bobby, get up there and change it to 13.
Right.
Whoever was closest to the TV.
I can't hear it.
Yeah, whoever was closest was screwed. It's usually the kids. They were right there in the floor. If we're talking about the old image of the 60s and 50s families and 40s and whatever, and then they have TV in the 40s. It'd be by the radio in the 40s. It was essentially the same thing, though. I mean, like they did gather around the radio like it was a TV. It's amazing how things have changed. Some for the better, some not for the better. I don't mind TV so much, man. Like the 80s TV, I think taught me a lot, especially because I was always on the public television channels trying to learn about stuff.
Yeah, our public television, I don't know. It was kind of weird because the main thing that I remember from it was Sesame Street when I was super young.
Yeah.
Which is one of those things that's always funny to go back and look at now. And,
it's crazy now, yeah. I've watched
Bert and Ernie or like a gay couple, and
yeah, I know.
Oscar's a homeless man. Like to see it through an adult's eyes, it's weird.
It is very surreal, no doubt.
The Count's autistic.
I love counting. One homosexual. Two homosexuals. Three homosexuals. Yeah, he's great, man. I miss the Count.
Yeah.
But if I ever spinning past the old flickaroo, the old surfing thing, and I see it, I'll stop. I'll watch it for a minute, just check it out and see what it's like nowadays. It seems like everything's in front of a green screen, though. Like almost everything. There's hardly any real sets left. They still have the street where the porch front, like the 227 set. I always called it the 227 set, and it was funny because it had the same guy, that black guy that played the regular Dracula that was on there. He was on 227 as the dad, so I always thought that was pretty funny. And they had the same porch. I was like, man, this guy don't have to go far to go to work, does he? The 227 dad's really on. He's really an actor on Sesame Street.
Well, speaking of dads, our public television, the other thing I remember seeing was our favorite stand-in dad, LeVar Burton.
Yes, Reading Rainbow. Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look.
Take a look.
It's in a book. It's Reading Rainbow. I can do anything. Yeah, it gets a little I can't. I'm not going to go there. All right. Yeah, I enjoyed it. There was a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff. We had a good one. I used to sit there on Saturdays and I'd watch Sewing with Nancy and the Victory Garden and the New Yankee Workshop and the Woodwright Shop. I mean, dude, it was great for a kid who just wanted to learn stuff and didn't have a dad around to teach him that shit. That's how I learned it. And with ADHD, like we're like a jack of all trades, master of none. We have to know everything.
At least a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I have to know how shit works. Like if I come across it and I don't know how it works, we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Got to find out. Yeah. Or just learning a trade, man. I mean, like I could get so many jobs and have had so many jobs because I can't keep a job. That's why I'm. You got to do something else. Try and change your life to where you can do something where you can survive. Because it's hard for me. I get so bored at a job. 3 years was max. Seems to be about the magic number for me. And I've talked to others with ADHD, and they seem to say the same thing. Have you have a similar experience, right?
I do. But for me, it's been different. When we were doing the computer stuff. Working at repairing computers was fine because there was something new every day, right? It was always like different issues unless it was like, hey, I've got Vista on my computer. But yeah, it was like something new every day. But at the same time, you get up in the morning, you get ready in the morning, you commute to work, you're there with... it was great when I was working with you and D. Yeah, and then then they started making us drive to fucking Montgomery, and that was, dude. I still say to this day, when we crossed over like that county line, is like a water. It's like that waterfall in Gringotts that washes all the stuff away, all the enchantments away. That's literally how it felt. Like you were going through a waterfall of despair. It's like, and I used to smoke up. Like I used to wake him back the whole trip down there just to be blazed out of my mind so I could make it through the day of hanging out with that dull bastard Robert who would just sit there at that desk all day and do jack shit. Dull doesn't do justice for our viewers like that. This guy had the personality of wallpaper.
Oh, man.
It
was right off the China boat. He could speak very little good English. It was interesting because he was the manager of that store, and we were used to him being up at our store and being very subservient and nice and everything. He got down there and like, I don't know if he ever did it with you, but like he expected me to do everything. He wouldn't lift a finger to do nothing. He was the boss and in charge, and he was loving it.
He tried it with me, but I kind of whipped it back, and I guess Kenny had my back on that one. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I yelled at him too. I couldn't. He did something. I forget. I went off on him. I'm like, you can lift a finger and help out too, bro. I'm not doing all this by myself. What do you get paid for? Just sit here and look at me? Oh, it's the most boring job ever, bro. Going down there, like when we first started there, like you say, it was great, but you get into that monotony. And then and that time, think about it, 1997 when we started there, that's when computers were just getting into there. Everybody was getting a computer by this point. All your family were getting a computer by this point, and they found out you were the guy working at the computer store. Oh my God. Dude, I finally had to just start being an asshole about it and say, look, man, this is what I do for a living. You're going to have to bring it down to where I work and pay. Like, I'm sorry, I don't have the time to sit here for fucking 10 hours to wait for your 14.4 connection to download this 100 megabyte file. Brutal.
Yeah, but it was kind of that, like not having control over my schedule, just being, especially once the three of us weren't together anymore. Yeah, it was really boring in the office, and just so much of my time was spent just not enjoying anything. So I left that, and I kind of got into. I think I got a little weird at CDO because I spent so much time in that back office, right?
In your own little world.
And then
as
far as bartending, I think I've told you I just got really sick of babysitting adults that can't control themselves, right?
Yeah.
If I never had to worry about people being overserved, I could just be like, yeah, here you go. It would have been a whole different thing. Go have your drink, go away.
Yeah.
I'd be happy. But
putting
up with people once they're drunk.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't want. I remember when you went to that school, I was thinking about it for about a half second. I was like, nah, I don't think this is for me.
Yeah. It was interesting. I learned more than I expected, but most people just pick it up on the job.
Yeah.
But man, my counts are more. Well, I don't know about anymore, but they were more on point than anybody I ever worked with.
Yeah, and you didn't have to. You didn't have to like go through. Shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh well, you didn't have the opportunity. I know what I was going to say. You didn't have the opportunity to work your way into that job because we were straight into computers right off the bat, like out of high school.
And anybody in the local area.
Yeah.
That at best you would be a bar back, and you'd be basically stuck there. And unless some magical fairy came out, somebody called in sick, and you rocked the show, then maybe.
Well, so like we had like a lot of friends at Applebee's. There was an Applebee's that we pretty much ruled the whole bar. I had a whole. I remember looking one time at that horseshoe
constantly
bar,
overserved there,
and there I looked one night, and I remember being in the middle of the horseshoe and looking, and all the way around were all my friends. It's a whole bar. But I was thinking, I guess if you ultimately said, "Fuck this computer shit, I want to be a bartender," we probably could have got you the hookup as far as like getting, started out some way there. That would have been your end. But other than that, you really didn't have the opportunities when you're a computer guy to do that.
I don't know if the Applebee's would have been better than a dive bar. I'm kind of thinking yes, but at the same time, who knows?
Who knows? We were talking. I was like, how do we even get on this subject? I was like, the best thing about being Gen X is having ADHD and forgetting shit.
Right.
Okay, so I said remote control TV. We were we were the last to be forced to use 2 keys to get into the car. One to get into the door, and one for the ignition.
Yep,
that was highly annoying. We not only used corporal punishment, but encouraged it with sayings like, "Spare the rod, spoil the child." And it was a good thing. We didn't like it at the time it was happening, but I still think it plays an important role. I mean, you can just look at what's going on in Chicago and all these other cities and see how kids are acting. And don't think that spare the rod, spoil the child might work in that situation.
I don't know, man. I think there's a measure there that's important. Of corporal punishment. Like if you're beating your child and they're too young to get it, then that child's going to have trouble trusting anybody for the rest of their life, right?
Yeah. I mean, I remember getting spanked. I didn't get the paddle till I was probably 3-ish at least. My dad had one of those frat paddles. And, but he didn't beat me like, mercilessly with it. You knew the kind of number of the licks you were going to get. It was usually like, 3 or 4 licks, and that was it. He wasn't one of those guys that just wailed on you and shit.
Yeah.
It was like if you were in school. They would say, "You're getting 3 licks. I got to get a witness. Hold on."
Right. Can I get a witness?
Can I get a witness? Yeah. So I'm a full corporal punishment, man. I think children need to be reined in a little bit. They're getting out of control. But there is one most important thing best thing about being Gen X is that our music is so cool. It's still trending 4 years later. And that's the truth.
There was a lot of cool music in the 80s.
80s, 90s, even the early aughts.
Yeah.
Right before Napster came along, y'all. Right before the record industry changed. And then everything changed. Not to say there's bad music now. Just the way you consume it is totally different. Yeah. And now it's great that there's so much interest in vinyl and cassettes. I think that's great that bands are putting stuff like that course, they have to, because that, like we're saying, the whole game changed. So if you're not touring, you're not making any money. Merch sales on tour, and if you can sell them on, online, great. Where you're gonna make your money at? These bands have to get like a bunch of bands together too, like like Static X and Fear Factory and Dope and who else was it? There was one other band. It's like 4 bands, but you think about it, their tickets probably aren't that expensive, and then they got to divvy it up amongst all the bands, all their crew. Of course, they're using a lot of the same crew, which is smart. They were using a lot of the same stage equipment, which is smart. There's ways to do it, but the more bands you add onto it to draw people, the more bands you got to split it with.
There was a guy in the 70s, I think, may have been the 80s. But his thing was to go to these local venues and be like, hey, I've got these bands that want to play, whatever, right? And he'd say, they can come play for you. We'll take a percentage of the door, blah, blah, blah. And in the 80s, I think there were a lot of bands that kind of did their own version of that. They'd find a place and go on the road, and they'd just be like, hey, we're a band, we play music, we're going to bring some people in, we're going to expect this much at the door, you'll do 2 drink minimum, blah, 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 you work out a deal. That definitely won't fly anymore, right?
No, you're going to have to get some kind of like promoter or something, somehow to help you get into the circuit.
Yeah.
I've had a recent call about drumming again, but I haven't heard anything further on that. I don't know if I'll be doing that or not, in addition to all the other millions of things I have going on. Anyway, I think we've done enough for today. I didn't really have a show in mind. I thought we could pretty much talk our way through it. We're trying to see how small we can get this show without really trying. So I'm just going to say that this is probably a good stopping point. It was a good show. And we've still got 2 more videos to record anyway, so our day's not done. Y'all will see us in the Mandalorian recap, final Mandalorian recap, and the final Picard Season 3 recap, which was the final Picard all together. And maybe a little something kind of spin-off. We'll talk about that, though, when that happens, after we record it. So we appreciate you guys being here with us.
Thanks so much.
Yep. As always, remember to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave us a comment, talk to us, let us know what's up. Be our friends. We want to be your friends. All right. Thank you so much for watching Planet Gen X. Better than a T-Rex. Yeah. Peace out. See you on the flip side.